Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar, FASTTRAK webinar series. Today, we're going to be going over what's new in the FASTTRAK 2019 Q1 release. Adam's going to be leading today, so I'm going to go ahead and pass off to Adam. Adam, if you're ready, go ahead and take it.
Absolutely. Let's see. Let's just give it a couple minutes. We'll go ahead and get started. Well, welcome everybody. Thanks for attending today's webinar. As Brian said, we're going to go through some of the new features of this latest release that just came out a couple weeks ago. We'll do some live demos to show you exactly what was changed and answer any questions that may come up along the way. So I'm Adam Morrison, the CTO at FASTTRAK. We also have Brian Hood, Director of Customer Support, and Eddie McCoy, President Owner of FASTTRAK. All of us are here today, so if you have any questions, for the most part, Brian and Eddie will be in the background just waiting to answer anything you might have. And then if we have time at the end, we might do some live questions as well, but we'll see how that goes. A quick primer for the tools within the settings you have. So at the bottom of your window, there's a couple different options. One of the options is chat. This allows you to talk in between all the other participants. Feel free to do that as you wish. Otherwise, if you have a question for myself, Eddie, or Brian, you can go ahead and use the Q&A box. If you click in there, you will get this little box here, which allows you to type in a question. That'll go over to Brian and Eddie, and they'll give you a response. And if it's a question that's pertinent to the rest of the webinar, then he'll go ahead and stop what we're talking about and go ahead and answer it live. So any good questions you have, feel free to put them in there, and we'll be sure to get them answered. Towards the end of the webinar, if we have time, you can raise your hand. This will allow us to unmute your microphone, and we'll let you ask live and have more of a discussion around any topics you might want to add. Like I said, time permitting at the end of the webinar. All right, so today, the webinar agenda, we're going to go through some upcoming webinar schedules because I think there's some important ones that you guys will want to know about. We're going to go very quickly through just a list of the features that were released on the last release, end of 2018. Just want to make sure you guys are all aware of them if you haven't seen them within the application to date. Then we'll go into some new features for this last release that came out a couple weeks ago. We'll do some live demos there to show you exactly how to get access to those features. And then we'll do a quick demo of a global security update tool, which we put in place, which you guys will be able to do some of those things to get your systems ready for the global security update. All right, so if you guys don't know, we've been doing these webinars since the beginning of the year. We've got quite a few out there already. The intentions of the webinar is a couple different things. First off, we want to offer some training and functionality review for any users of FASTTRAK. So this is good for anyone who's either new to the software, maybe there's a new employee, someone who needs a refresher with certain features of the application. Those are all our training webinars. We have those generally on a weekly basis if we don't have one of these What's New webinars. There's a website, which I'll show you in just a second. You can get the list of webinars, but there's quite a few that are out there already. Once we have the webinar, we record them, we clean them up a little bit, and we stick them up on YouTube so you guys can watch those at any time. Or if you have new employees or you need a refresher, by all means, you can go over to YouTube at any time, pick the topic that you want to listen to, and watch it at your own convenience. The topics themselves are generally under an hour, but like I said, you can pick and choose which ones you want to do. Right now, we're on the What's New webinar on March 13th. We'll go through that today. We have a very good webinar next week as well, which is the online customer booking portal. The reason why that's important is because we did some pretty significant enhancements to that process. We'll go into it briefly today. We'll show you some of the settings, but next week our intention is to do a much more deeper dive, a little more specific to the processes that you guys are looking for your external customers. So we'll be sure to sign up for that one for next week. And then we have a reporting capabilities and a group management training session, which Brian will go ahead and head those again. And then at the bottom here, we're going to have a couple open forum sessions, and we're still trying to refine exactly what those are going to entail. And I'll give you some ways that you guys can contribute some topics. So that's where your input is needed. We're looking for a couple open session topics that are really applicable to all customers They're more industry related, more fast track related, not specific to a certain region or market. Potential ideas, problems facing the industry, how to expand in new markets, affiliate features, things like that. So, you know, if there's any feedback that you'd like to give us, by all means, you can send that into support@fasttrackcloud.com. And also at the end of this webinar, there'll be some specific questions on this topic where you can also, you know, provide some feedback on what you'd like to see. And we are looking to our customers to really help us understand where you guys, you need some guidance or where you'd like to see the FASTTRAK software move in the future. So please feel free to add as much comments as you can. And if the webinar or the survey is not enough room for you can always send an email into support@fasttrackcloud.com. Brian and I will also be at the LCT show in Las Vegas beginning in March 26th. So be sure to stop by the booth and say hi. We'd like to talk, answer any questions you have there. If you have any more questions about some of the topics we're going to go through today, by all means, we can do that for you there as well. All right, so one of the things we've added to this release, which you guys have probably already seen, is when you log into the software, you're going to get this little splash screen here. We've updated with the recent update, and the intention is this is to give you access to the webinars that we're putting out there. So you'll see a very simple registration link, and you'll see a couple different links to our playlists on YouTube. So we have the training playlist on YouTube that'll walk you through all those sessions we just had. We have the What's New playlist, which is right now it's just got the 2018, but we'll go ahead and put this one up as well. And then once we start doing those open sessions, we'll go ahead and activate this link as well, which will give you access to those recorded webinars for those open sessions. So these will show up when you log into the application. If you've closed them, which is a setting you can do, you can always get back to them by clicking on the video button at the top right of the screen. All right, so real quick, we'll go through the previously released features in 2018. We added email attachments support, which is the ability to predefine documents within your software and then have them automatically attached to emails that get sent to your customers. Additionally, you can add email attachments at will whenever you get that prompt to send out confirmations, the same one that you can choose to send to additional email addresses, or you can add an additional note. You can also choose to select one or more of your attachments to send there. Things like cancellation policies or credit card billing information, whatever it may be, you can add as part of attachments. Global column customizations. We had a lot of requests where we had administrators who wanted to set up columns one time and then have all of their users of FASTTRAK use those column customizations. And that's exactly what the global column customization is. It's an admin being able to actually go in and predefine those for all of their users. Reservation change detail and the confirmation updates. Basically, when we send a confirmation update, now there's a routine that will go through and see exactly what's changed within that confirmation and put a note in the additional notes section. And you can have that information sent to your customer. So for example, if the pickup date's changed, if the airport's changed or something of that nature, that type of detail will show up in the notes. And so you have a better idea of exactly what's changed. Autocomplete support, simply being able to query Google and autocomplete the addresses. It was constrained to only the reservation form at one time, and we've gradually rolled out to all address fields within the application. Reporting capability updates for those that get into some of the advanced features of our reports. Once you run a report, it shows up in a grid. There's a lot of different customization options of that grid to tailor the report to exactly what you're looking to do. Whether you want to do averages, sums, groups, things of that nature, you can do a lot more to those reports now. With available via the right-click menu on the report, or right-clicking within that header on the report will give you a slew of options to really tailor what that report's going to look like. Customer portal enhancements. These are ones that were done last release. So multiple pricing plan support. So you can actually have customers search across more than one pricing plan. Showing a trip map view within the interface, or excuse me, within the application. Additional stops. Customers can now add additional stops to the reservation online. And they could also select configured fixed charge items, car seat, bottle of water, whatever it may be. You can expose those and allow those to be selectable and automatically added to your reservation when booked online. And we also did some geo pricing enhancements, some time and distance enhancements. So we added the support for base plus incremental. So for the users of geo, That basically allows you to include a base price and then add on the time and distance on top of that, as well as some additional rules that we've added to that engine to allow you to tailor those pricing output from the pricing engine. And you can use that either internally or through your customer booking portal. It's up to you. So once again, the demo for all of those features and a couple more is online. So you can go to the playlist on what's new on 2018 and you can review all those features. All right, so without further ado, we have new features of 2019. So what I plan to do is to go through these individually. I like to do a live demo when I can to show you what they are. This is just a subset of what we did in this release. So there's a slew more that I'll show you how to get access to within the Ultimate software. So the first one is customizable customer portal profiles. I'll go ahead and bring up the application real quick. All right, Eddie and Brian, can you see that? No problem. Thumbs up. All right, perfect. So real quick, so customizable customer portal configuration. What exactly is that? First off, the customer portal is your external booking site that FASTTRAK gives you to allow your customers to book externally. There's a wide variety of how you can customize that workflow, the actual steps that your customers take to move through that website. One of the problems that we had was that that was great. Customers can customize exactly how they want that to look, what questions you want to ask, what messages you see, what information you want to collect. But the problem was it was only one process. So you could customize one process and you used that one process through the booking portal. So with the customer portal profiles, we allow you to configure more than one process. So if you have let's say you want to have a registration link that you want to send to a hotel, or you have a group reservation that's coming in and you want to send them a special link and tailor the process to book to only to that group, you can do that. If you want certain types of trips that allow you to, some might require a credit card, some might limit the available pickup and drop off locations, things like that, we now allow you to customize a process and then expose that workflow, right? Expose those steps the customer takes through a variety of ways, whether it's a link, whether it's selectable in your portal. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you from a configuration standpoint where that changed. I'm going to show you where you can get access to some help information. And then, like I said, next week, we'll have a much deeper dive specifically for the customer portal profiles. So within the FASTTRAK menu, I'm going to click the top left menu. I'm going to go to System, Company, and User Setup. And then I'm going to go to System Global Settings. So this is just, as most of you are aware, I'm sure, where you're going to set up most of your settings within the FASTTRAK software. So we have the Internet Reservations tab. Once again, it's Internet Reservations, Customer Portal, Internet Reservation, Customer Access Portal, whatever you call it. It's this external application for your customers to book reservations. We've made changes to these settings. These used to be across, I think, 4 different areas. We tried to simplify and clean them up. Most of the settings remained the same. They may just have moved to a different area. So you'll notice there's 2 tabs on the right. One is General Settings, one Portal Profiles. The general settings are settings that are going to be used across all of your profiles. So things like, what email address gets notified, what Google Analytics ID you want to use to track your conversions and things of that nature. What's the confirmation email look like that goes out? What's the theme of the website when people access it? Those type of configurations are general across the all of your profiles, whether you use a default profile or you customize it for a group booking. So these are your general settings. We've cleaned these up, moved them around a little bit, but this is where you'll see those. There's a button right here, which I urge any of you who are going to come to next week. We put a document together that allows you to, kind of walks you through all of those settings, exactly what they are, what the profiles are going to do. It gives you a primer of the customer portal for those of you that are not familiar. But it's not the most interesting read in the world, but it'll certainly give you a really good head start on how to kind of go into this section and get an idea for what we're trying to accomplish with the portal profiles. So the portal profiles here, this is a list of profiles. Like I said, you could have more than one. by default, everyone has what's called the default profile. Think of this as the workflow that you configure just for default general access to your website. This is pretty much what you guys have before this release. Whatever you had configured before this release, this has become your default profile. So if everything worked as it did and we haven't seen any issues so far, nothing changed from before this release to after the release, but we did migrate a lot of those settings that you had into this default profile. Like I said, you can have more than one profile if you wanted to customize the process. So for example, I'm going to go into this reservation, or excuse me, this profile here, just to give you a real quick view of it. So this profile here, we have, we've named it, we have a target company, some lead time information, and I'm going to go into a different one because this one's been stripped down just because of the type of target reservation it is. So I'm going to go into a simple reservation profile. So the simple reservation profile gives you things like, do I want to show pricing? What type of pricing do I want to show? What are the disclaimers that I'm going to show? Lead time information. Do I want to limit the pickup drop off? Once again, there's a wide variety of customizable options specific to a single workflow. And we're tailoring or in customizing this booking process via this profile. So this is a simple reservation profile, as I've named it. It's targeting this ABC limo company. I've decided to limit the pickup and drop off. So I don't want them to pick up anywhere in the world, but I want them to pick up within a certain hotel. And you can choose to turn these on or not. If you turn them off and you don't limit, then it's basically what you guys have today, and they can query anywhere. But of course, they have to match a pricing plan to actually get a price within the portal. Some booking and customer options. This is where you can choose whether I'm going to book a new customer, existing customer. Am I going to book into a reservation? Or excuse me, am I going to book into a group? So I'm actually not creating a reservation, but I'm actually saving it as a passenger under a group. So then I can figure out how I want to actually push those individual passengers into a single vehicle, for example. Requiring credit card information, allowing new customers to create an account so they can come back. And then this last tab is the one where you can actually expose it as a link. So you can actually create a reservation, you can create a portal profile. You can get a custom link for it. You can make that link available for certain times of the year, and you can require a password if you choose to access that link. And once again, if you do that, you've exposed this customized workflow as simple as you want it to be. And you could send that link via email, you could stick it on a website, you could put it in any type of collateral. So there's a lot of different things you can do. So that was a crash course in portal profile. So that was probably the biggest, the most significant change of this release was support of these portal profiles. And like I said, next week we'll do a much deeper dive specific to workflows that you can do and that are most important to you. And we'll give you an idea exactly how you can set those up, what they look like in the portal, how they influence the portal, all that kind of fun stuff. All right, so that's portal profiles. Let's see what we have here. Next one is, so expanded affiliate integrations. So with affiliate integrations, right now we've expanded the support I'm going to talk about for both eAffiliate and for GNet. So what we've done is for those of you that are familiar with the affiliate setup, when you create an affiliate, you also have the potential to assign or to create vehicles and drivers. And what this allowed you to do in the past was, when assigning an affiliate, you can kind of, hold additional information about some of the driver and vehicle information that affiliate is assigning. Before, that affiliate and driver information was kind of set on your side. So you would actually set, John Smith's going to be the driver, but now that information is actually going to be applied on the affiliate side. So let's say that I am farming out a reservation, and let's see if I can get this. Okay, so in the past, when you assigned a reservation and you assign an affiliate driver, that reservation is going to be farmed out to that affiliate. And you're going to assign, let's say, ABC Limo Company. It would be farmed out, like I said, either through eAffiliate or GNet. That other affiliate is going to have that reservation land in their system. by default, that affiliate reservation in their system is not going to have a vehicle and not going to have a driver assigned. Makes perfect sense. However, when that affiliate does assign that driver and or that vehicle, the information about that driver and vehicle is very important, and it's also pertinent to your system. So now when that affiliate, so let's say I farm out through GNet, or I farm out through affiliate, and that affiliate assigns, you know, Bob Smith to that reservation in their system, the integration is now going to bring that Bob Smith information, that employee information over. It's going to automatically create affiliate drivers and vehicles. There is some matching logic on cell phone number and name and email address, things like that, to make sure that we don't duplicate as much as possible. But that information is going to be brought over. We're going to create these affiliate drivers and vehicles on the fly based on what that affiliate selected in their system. So now we're automatically getting not only that it's been farmed out to affiliate, but when that affiliate, you know, that used to be just for status changes, but now when they assign affiliate drivers and vehicles, now we're getting all that good information back into a discrete field in FASTTRAK. And here's what I mean by discrete, or distinct field. So before, a lot of that information was being stuffed in trip notes, or it was kind of being lost in all the other information that's going back and forth. So now we have a distinct field within FASTTRAK with that relationship set up with these affiliate drivers and vehicles. We now have a much clearer display of that information and collection of that information within your dispatch grid. So for example, let's see if I have one still in here from earlier. All right, so for example, let's say I'm going to assign FASTTRAK integration is one of my test systems, this system right here. So I can see that I already have a bunch of drivers set up, but in this case, I don't know who the driver is. I'm going to go ahead and assign just that integration system. So really, in reality, this would be, you know, XYZ limo company. So when I assign that, what's going to happen is this is wrong vehicle type. All right, so what would generally happen is I'm going to show you how it shows up in the other system. In the other system, let's see. It would help if I got the right system. So in the right system, so it would show up as a confirmation or as a reservation in this target affiliate system. When that target affiliate system now sets their driver or that vehicle, that information gets pushed back to the original system, and that information shows up as I can see the driver name, and I can also see the vehicle information for that vehicle within this dispatch grid. We also will expose the affiliate information as well on additional columns, so you can actually get a lot more information from that affiliate automatically back into your system without having to do any additional integration. So like I said, this is supported for e-affiliate, and this is supported for GNet currently. Brian, Eddie, any questions thus far?
Nope, all good so far.
Adam, we only had, I had one from Robert that I answered already, but it was basically, does this apply to affiliates on the FASTTRAK network or any affiliate? And I responded back that it was electronic affiliates only. That's correct.
That's correct. It's electronic affiliates, and currently e-affiliate is supported with this integration, and GNet is supported with this integration. So anything going through GNet, which of course could have its own connections elsewhere, but if it flows through GNet or if it flows through that e-affiliate connection, which is FASTTRAK's connection, then this driver and vehicle information will automatically be applied back to your system. Okay. On the flip side of that, a couple more settings here that have been added to the system. So I'm going to look at this customer profile, which is Ann Friendly. So let's go find Ann Friendly. So within the customer profile, there's a couple new settings that we've added during this release, depending on whether it's the affiliate system or it's the original system. So under options here, there's a setting here at the bottom that says, now I want to include affiliate driver vehicle information when available. So what this means is, if you enable it for this profile, if that affiliate system sends back vehicle or sends back driver information, we now, if you have this option enabled, will include that information in communication to your customer. So now things like driver phone number, if you'd like, driver name, vehicle type or vehicle description, excuse me, plate number, things like that, you can actually pull those in to your passenger communication, like passenger SMS and passenger email. Before this was available, when it was farmed out, that information wasn't there. It wasn't available easy to your passenger. So now we've made it available and we've made it configurable per customer profile. On the flip side, in the affiliate system, I have farmed this out to an affiliate. So it lands in some affiliate customer profile. So for example, this one's called, FT integration. So FT integration, actually, let me open up the customer profile. So now this is the affiliates system. So this is the system that has the driver that's fulfilling this job on behalf of your passenger. So there's a setting which is added in this release, which is allow the affiliate drivers to see the passenger phone number. So once again, this information has gone out. This is part of the driver settings, is now that if that passenger phone number has actually gone to your driver, a lot of times, you wouldn't want your affiliate driver to communicate directly with your passenger, but we have had requests where they'd like to open up that communication. There's a much better trust with that affiliate. So they want to allow the driver to actually communicate and work closer with that passenger. So in this case, there's an option to actually allow that passenger phone number to be exposed. And now that driver has access to that passenger phone number for SMS messaging or anything like that. So it's another new setting that was added as part of this release to make that affiliate passenger's phone number available through the driver app. All right. Okay, so moving right along here, the next one is pricing notes on the reservation form. This was requested a lot, actually. A lot of times it's just getting access.
Adam?
Yes, Eddie.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but Randy made a comment. I haven't responded back yet, that the Deem Affiliate Connect will not set the driver name when you're talking about affiliates. Mm-hmm. I'm not exactly certain what he's asking, but the question is, Deem Affiliate Connect will not set the driver name.
I'll have to check the integration. I know we have obviously a pretty tight integration with Deem via the TransmitNet switch. We were in there recently doing some updates for double farm support and things of that nature. I won't get into detail here, but I'll have to check specifically on that, see what the support is there.
And Randy, if you want to elaborate, just raise your hand there and he can turn you on live if you want to expand upon that, but otherwise we'll get back to you.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move forward here. So the next thing we'll talk about is this pricing note. So I'm back in my original system here. I'm going to go to Anna Friendly's reservation. So one of the things is just access to information. So a lot of times the pricing notes, are buried in the customer profile, little notes when they're actually addressing this, the pricing within the reservation. So we've added this little link here. You can hover over it. You can click on it, whatever you need. This is notes directly out of the customer's profile. So when they're applying pricing to this reservation, they'll have quick access to those pricing notes to see any special information or rates that aren't necessarily part of a plan. Maybe it's a discount, maybe it's a minimum, I don't know. Whatever pricing notes you have, they're available on the reservation form, just to make it a lot easier to get access to that information. Okay, we talked about the user training. That was next on my list. I just want to show you real quick. So like I said, this is the icon up here, opens up this screen. You can click any of these yellow links here and that will open up. What that's going to do is it's going to open up the playlist on YouTube. So these are all the recorded videos that you saw on that list. So these are the ones that you can have, go to for a refresher or what have you. This is what will give you access to each one of those. Within that screen as well, there's a playlist for what's new, which just has the Lonely 2018. But like I said, this one will be up there soon. And coming soon, once we get those other sessions, those industry-driven group sessions, we'll go ahead and activate this link to give you access to those. You can always either go to the website, you know, the FASTTRAK Webinars website, to see the current list of webinars. We have direct links to all of the pre-recorded ones on YouTube as well. So you have very easy access. You don't have to wait for the emails that you get. We recommend to, you know, go ahead and register ahead of time. Register for several. You're going to get reminders, which are very handy just to keep track. But we generally have them at 2 o'clock on Wednesdays, and you know, it'll send you reminders to let you know that it's starting. It's going to, you know, be happening soon, and it also, you can put it on your calendar. So if you use Outlook or Gmail or any other calendar tool, you can add it to your calendar and do the notifications there as well. Okay. So next on my list is driver app updates. So the driver app is going to get, I would say, minor updates for the most part. I'll show you a couple. Let's see what I can show you here. See if my emulator is working good. There it is. So the driver app, for those that don't use it or aren't familiar with it, is you know, is enabled as part of an additional service with FASTTRAK. It allows your drivers to get access to their trips, interact with trips, all that kind of fun stuff. It also allows from the driver's side to broadcast GPS information back to your FASTTRAK system, so you can see things like driver location, driver trip audit, things of that nature, and as well as that GPS flows, if you so choose, all the way to your customers and passengers. So passengers can get a real-time trip link where they can actually see where the driver is in real time. So all this flows from the driver app. So as part of this release, we went ahead and we've added a couple of different fields. One of those fields is the type category. So depending on what the trip type and trip category is within the FASTTRAK software or the FASTTRAK reservation, you can choose, you can configure, and I'll show you that in a second, to either show or hide that information. We've also added the customer name to the trip detail. Previously, it was only available in the trip ticket up here. So we've had a couple requests to add that. So we went ahead and did that as well. We've cleaned up some of the menus for smaller screens. We cleaned up some of the statuses just to make them look a little nicer and a little more compact. Let's see. And as far as, let's see what else there was. We've made some minor modifications to this trip list itself. We've tailored, giving you a little more control around what jobs show up on this list. We found that some of our customers tend not to drop jobs. They kind of sit in this undropped state for a longer period of time, and it was causing issues. Or sometimes we had jobs from the past that were showing up. So I'll show you how we've made some changes from the configuration standpoint to hide what shows on this list. I'll go for that real quick. So within the system settings, under driver options, we've added the show trip type category, like I said. Now you guys don't have this update that you're looking at here, so these couple settings are missing. We're going to send out a real quick patch release. It shouldn't affect you guys at all. Otherwise, it's just going to be a quick EXE download. Probably within the next, I'd say, we're thinking within the next week or two. We've really had no major issues to put out another EXE, but we want to make sure we collect any of these minor differences, put them into one release so you guys don't have to do a whole bunch of updates at one time. So we're trying to limit the number of updates that we push out. But you'll see this in the next update that comes out. The show trip type category. Also, another one that's added is this allow drivers to reject assigned trips. And I'll show you that one real quick. Depending on your workflow with your drivers, you may or may not want them the ability to reject a job. Everyone uses the driver app differently, and everyone has a slightly different workflow in their system. Generally, when a driver is assigned a job, it's specified as driver scheduled in the FASTTRAK software. And on the driver's trip list, it will show with an orange color. And this basically tells them they've had a job that's been assigned. And when that job has been assigned, they have an option to actually confirm it, which means it would show up as driver confirmed within the FASTTRAK software, Or if you allow it, they can actually reject the trip. And what that does is push the job back to trip confirmed. And it adds a note within the driver's status to show that the driver rejected that trip. And what some people found was that workflow got lost a little bit. So we've added the option to remove this option from your status changes, which means that if a driver needed to reject the trip, then they would have to just call into dispatch and do that instead of actually doing it within the application itself. So we've added a configuration object to option to remove this option within the driver app. So that one's going to come out with this next patch release that we have coming up in the next couple of weeks. Let's see, and then one more thing that we are working very hard to get working 100% of the time is some of the background GPS information. So what happens was Android, which is a good percentage of the market out there in terms of smartphones, has put out an update which basically manages background GPS updates a little differently. They're really starting to tackle the drain on battery life and things of that nature. And they've made some changes to their core applications to try to limit how often applications retrieve and send GPS information. So for that reason, there's been some inconsistency when the FASTTRAK driver app is running in the background. So if you turn off your phone, or if you go take a phone call, with the latest Android updates, some of that GPS information would not make it to the FASTTRAK servers. So we've got a resolution in place there. We're doing some testing currently. So we're going to see this driver app get updated probably, I would say, within the next couple of weeks as well. We'll probably time it pretty close to the next FASTTRAK update. You'll probably see the FASTTRAK update first, and then you'll see the driver app shortly thereafter, simply because the driver app has to go through the stores and a whole approval process, which takes usually a couple weeks. But that's another change that we're going to take a look at to try to get the GPS to be as consistent as possible. It's just with the changes with the iOS and the Android devices, it definitely makes it challenging. So we are continuing to update, and we'll continue to make changes to support any updates that those device manufacturers do. So that is the FASTTRAK driver app, some of the updates there. And then the last one I want to go through is a real simple one, actually. It's the real-time dashboards. So we went through a deep dive with the real-time driver app, dashboards, that whole thing. There's a very good webinar on that kind of walks through the entire process. Anyone who is, has questions about the driver app, or anyone who interested in getting more information about the driver app and how it feeds into the real-time dashboards and the passenger trip link and exactly what I'm talking about, there's a really good general session called Real-Time Dashboards and Driver Mobile App. Go ahead and watch that, and that'll give you an overview of what we can offer, as well as how they all work together in concert, and the various features and dashboards that are available to you. So one of those dashboards is called the client dashboard. So this one is actually the passenger dashboard. So this one is, this is a link that generally would get sent to a passenger so they could open up on their phone, and they could actually get real-time information for that trip directly from their phone. They don't have to install anything. It opens up in a browser, and when the driver's active, they can actually see the driver icon move all the way through. The driver picture's always been there on that link. However, it was not available in the client dashboard. So for those that aren't familiar with the client dashboard, there is a setting once you enable the driver app. There is a setting which allows you to enable the driver app, or excuse me, the dashboard for your customers. So I'm going into a customer profile here. On the document options tab, there's some information around the internet reservation portal. So this show client trip dashboard, once that's enabled, and once you have the driver app within your organization, then when this customer logs into the portal to do their bookings or manage their reservations, they're getting an option at the top called Trip Dashboard. When they click on that link, it's going to open up something similar to the passenger link, but in this case, it's a little more spread out. It's more oriented for a desktop view. They can do some searches on trips, But one of the things we added as well is driver information, which wasn't available before. So whether you're on the client dashboard for your end customers, or whether it's a corporate account manager who accesses their corporate dashboard, they will now have access to the driver information in addition to the trip information, which they had before. And of course, nothing changed in terms of, driver location or any things of that nature. All that will still be available. It's just the driver information, including the driver picture, is now available. Okay. So let's see. One last thing I wanted to show you, just in case you guys weren't aware, is whenever there's a new update, whenever you have to update your EXC, at the bottom left here, this little icon is clickable. There's a lot of things that are done in every release. Some are specific to a customer, some are more broad, some are fixes. So we put this out. This is what we call the release notes. It's just a nice, simple list of everything that's been changed. We try to make it as readable as possible. Once again, it's not the best read in the world, but it should give you an idea. If you're looking for something that was fixed, it should be in this list. But it'll take you just a minute to go through, but you'll notice that every section has a version. That's what shows up in your application at the bottom, and the release date. So this one was actually ready in February, and that's when it started getting pushed out. And so that's the release date on this one. But this one, I went through maybe 10 or 15 items today. There's a whole lot of changes that were done in this release. We break it down by application, but you can see exactly everything that was done. And of course, you can always go back to older releases as well, and we do the same thing. So you can actually go back about 10 years ago. I think for some reason we keep all those in here, but like I said, it's a nice, simple way for you to go through and get access to the detail of what was changed in this release if you're looking for something. And if there's ever a question that you don't see that something's there, by all means, support@fasttrakcloud.com. Our goal is, with this webinar, which kind of gives you a live demo of what's new, and with the release notes, hopefully you'll get a much better understanding of what's been pushed out, what you guys should be aware of. That's the whole purpose of this webinar, is to give you guys access and a kind of a quick summary of what was changed, and call it a training, whatever it may be. So that's available. So there's only one more fun thing that I want to go through quickly. Maybe not fun for you guys, but global security update. We've added some additional tools to help you out with doing your global security update. There's just to give you guys a sense for what this is, there's in an effort to keep up with threats in the industry, just IT in general, there's ever evolving threats within all software, and our software is no different. So we have to make sure that we stay ahead of the game, which we do. That's part of our updates that you guys, even pushing out a new EXE, there's updates in that. This .NET 4.7 update that was required with this latest release. That was part of the ongoing effort to keep our software as up to date as possible. Security can be intrusive and annoying sometimes if you've ever had to change your password constantly, but it's all part of the game. It's every day there's another notification that some database or some website's been hacked. I think there was one the other day, there was 789 million accounts were hacked. I don't even think they've broadcasted that one yet, but so this is part of our effort to keep as up to date as possible. So the global security update, there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes, but from a front end perspective for you guys, one of the things is we need to have all users use a standard email address. This does a couple things for us. It guarantees uniqueness. It gives you a very streamlined way to communicate with a customer. Because email addresses are specific to a single customer or a single user. And it allows us to use a common username across all of our applications. So as we move forward and we add additional applications on the Fast Track, it's going to require a unified login to access those applications. Something you guys should do all the time is, if you don't already, is to remove and disable old user accounts. Go through your accounts, remove the ones that you don't need. Any account that gives access to the system, if it's not being used anymore, that's just another hole. And there's absolutely nothing we can do about that. If the account's being used, or if the account's no longer in use, but it's still active, that's where you guys need to go through and just make sure that your system is as clean as possible. So part of this process is to do that as well. You're going to update your usernames to email addresses when they're not already there. We've been pushing this out for a year. Even before it was notified to you guys, we've started to require certain things, and one of those things was usernames and email addresses. Excuse me, email addresses as usernames. So, you know, now we're actually requiring it before moving forward with the next update. So that's part of this process, is make sure you're up to speed. And also generally linking Express and user accounts. This is just the progression of the software. It used to be independent, you know, the desktop application versus the web application. So now those applications those accounts are linked, and they are one login. And that's a part of this process, is to make sure that that linking doesn't create two independent accounts, which are two security holes. We combine those into one account and lock down that one account globally across our system. So that's part of what the global security update is going to do. So what we've done is, I will bring up, once again, this is an update which you guys will get here in the next couple weeks. If you are not compliant with what's required for the global security update, meaning you have usernames that are not valid, they're not an email address, they're duplicated, something of that nature, your system is going to be flagged as invalid. What that means is any system administrator in your database, so this is a user that you've set as a system administrator, every day when they log in for the first time, they will be notified that their system is not valid. It's meant to be somewhat intrusive. It is once a day, so it doesn't happen that often, and they can, you know, they'll be notified of it and they can close the window and move on. So it's a 5-second step, but we want to make sure that you guys have the tools and the notifications that you are not compliant. So for example, your system admins, when they log in every day, are going to be shown this message when they are not valid. And they click the OK button. We have developed a tool. This is a trial system of users that are not valid. So as you can see, for the most part, these users do not have email addresses. So for each one of these, you can click on it and it will tell you what the issue is, and it will tell you the solution. Now, for the most part, I would say, I would guess probably 90% of the issues out there is because a user is in the system that is not a valid email address. What I've found, and Eddie and Brian, you can chime in here as well if you have any other insight, is that a lot of times when customers start going through these users, they find out that they don't need the user anymore. The user is no longer necessary in their system. At that point, you can just delete the user from the system, and that system or that username is solved. However, if it is a user that is valid in your system, we're giving you the opportunity to manage the username change. So for example, if I have a user called Alicia, that username is invalid and it needs to be changed to an email address. So the simplest thing to do is use Alicia's email address. You're going to change that username, and you have to inform Alicia that she now has to log in with her email address. So it's important because you manage when that occurs. You can manage that on a Monday, a weekend, whatever you'd like to do. You can communicate with your users to make sure that you tell them when it needs to change. If you wait for us to do it and we flip the switch to global security, all of those users are not going to be able to log in when they go to log in the morning. And that's going to be a problem. That's why we're urging as much as possible for you to use this tool to go through these issues and take care of these issues on your side, so that we can better the software, become more secure, and make sure that you don't lose support for new functionality and features in the future. So this tool will pop up for system admins once a day. They can always go to it here. In the FASTTRAK menu, there'll be a new option called Global Security Audit, and they can get to it there as well. And the good news is, once you're validated, you won't see it anymore. If you have no issues, then they won't be prompted and you won't even see it in the menu. So look for that. If you have any questions, by all means, send it into FASTTRAK Cloud or support@fasttrakcloud.com, and we'll answer them for you. And if you have any questions on the specifics of the security audit, there's a webinar for that we had a couple months ago, I think it was. And that'll give you a rundown for, you know, the things that you actually need to do to change. So finishing up here, let's see what else I got. I think that's it. All right, so Brian, Eddie, did you guys have any questions from the attendees or anything else that you'd like to bring up?
I don't have any more.
Brian seems pretty quiet over there.
Nope, pretty quiet today.
Perfect. We're giving Brian a break the next couple of weeks, so he's very happy. You can tell. So, without Brian, Eddie, if there's no other questions, I'll give it just a second if someone wants to be brave enough to raise a hand. I don't see any thus far. Nope.
Yep, we're good.
All right. Well, once again, on behalf of Eddie, Brian, myself, I want to thank you guys all for coming today, and we hope to see you next week at the next webinar. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good week.
Thanks, guys.